channel. In today's video, I'll be sharing 3 super easy farmhouse style outdoor decor ideas. I was able to create each project using mainly materials from Dollar Tree, making them all budget friendly, which is even better. I really love how each and every project turned out, and I hope that you guys enjoyed today's video. Now let's get right into today's DIYs. For DIY number 1, I'm making a flower planter, and for this project I used this tin bucket that I picked up from Dollar Tree, this bee stencil from Michaels, folk art chalk paint in rich black, Waverly chalk paint in plaster, hazelnut, and also in the color maize, paintbrushes, Craft Smart wood stain in brown, wire jute from Dollar Tree, scissors, floral foam, cocoa liner from Dollar Tree, lavender and eucalyptus stems from Walmart, and my hot glue gun. I first started by painting this tin bucket that I picked up from Dollar Tree with my folk art chalk paint in the color rich black. I only had to do 1 coat of this paint, and I did paint a little bit on the inside of the bucket as well, just enough to where if you saw the inside it would still be painted that same color as the outside. After that paint was all dry, I then took my folk art chalk paint in the color French linen, and I put just a little bit on a piece of paper towel, and then I dabbed it all over the tin bucket, and this is going to give it more of like a rustic, aged look, or maybe like there's chipped paint all over the bucket. This is the look that I was going for. Once that French linen color was dry, I then took my Craft Smart wood stain in the color brown on an old towel, and I just rubbed and dabbed it all over the black color and the French linen color, and this is just going to add a little bit more dimension and give me more of an aged look that I'm looking for. Next, I'm putting this bee stencil that I got from Michaels right on the front of my tin bucket. It does have a sticky side on the back, but it wasn't sticking to the bucket very well, so I just used 2 pieces of painter's tape on each side to hold the stencil down so that it doesn't move around while I'm painting. Then for the bee portion of the stencil, I used the Waverly chalk paint in the color maize and just painted that over the entire bee. Once I had the bee all painted, I then moved on to the outside leaves that are on the stencil and the bow at the bottom, and I painted those all in the Waverly paint in the color plaster. Once the paint was all dry, I then removed both pieces of painter's tape and my stencil. Next, I'm taking some of this wire jute that I picked up from Dollar Tree, and I'm wrapping it around each handle on the tin bucket. I think this is a newer item at Dollar Tree. At least this was the first time that I've ever seen it, and it was my first time using it. I did leave the jute pretty long on the top because this is going to be where I create my hanger. I just twisted that wire jute around and then left a loop at the top. Now I'm taking this cocoa liner from Dollar Tree and I'm cutting it right in half. I had to cut it in half because if I would have put the whole cocoa liner in my bucket, it would have been way too bulky. So I then just placed the cocoa liner inside of my bucket, and then I took the other half that I had already cut and I cut that piece in half as well, and then placed the piece that I just cut into the back of my tin bucket. Next, I'm placing floral foam in the bottom of my bucket, and then I cut some of the eucalyptus and lavender stems down and then spaced those out and just placed them right inside of the floral foam. Now, if you're going to use this bucket for outdoor flowers, I would put a hole in the bottom for drainage for your soil and then just plant your regular flowers. I'm actually in the process of moving and didn't want to plant real flowers. This is the bucket all finished. I think it turned out super cute, and I can't wait to plant real flowers in this in the next house that we get. Now moving into DIY number 2, I'm making a decorative garden stake. For this project, I used this sign from Dollar Tree. I also used this metal windmill from Dollar Tree, this fresh flower market stencil from Michaels, a wooden stake from Lowe's, folk art chalk paint in French linen and also in Java, paintbrushes, Craft Smart wood stain in brown, and also my hot glue gun. I started by removing the ribbon and the staples that were holding these 3 pieces of the sign all together. It was really easy to remove them. I just pulled a little bit on the ribbon and it just popped the staples right out. I then removed the paper design that was on the front of this Dollar Tree sign. This was actually really easy to remove. I just picked at the paper a little bit around all of the sides and it just peeled right off. I then painted all 3 of these pieces with my folk art chalk paint in the color French linen, and I did both front and back of each piece, and I did 2 coats of paint on each piece as well. After the paint was all dry, I then took my Craftsmart wood stain in the color brown on an old towel, and I just randomly put this all over the 3 pieces that I just painted with that French linen color, and this almost looks like chipped paint or old worn stain, and I really love the look of this. And I did apply the stain to the front and back of each piece. Next, I'm painting my wooden stake with that same French linen color, and I only did 1 coat on this piece. So that my wooden stake will match the rest of my sign, I'm just applying the Craftsmart wood stain to this stake as well, just like I did the other 3 pieces. I'm now taking my Fresh Flower Market stencil and I'm placing the words Fresh Flower right in the center of one of my pieces. I'm only going to be stenciling the words Fresh Flower on this piece, and then placing some painter's tape around all the sides so that my stencil doesn't move around while I'm painting. And I did cover up the bottom word Market so that I didn't accidentally get paint on that and then have to repaint my sign later. And then for the color that I'm using on my words for Fresh Flower, I'm using the Folk Art chalk paint in the color Java. After the paint was all dry, I then removed my stencil. Then I'm taking the word Market and I'm placing it right in the center of the second piece for my sign and just using painter's tape to tape it down and hold it into place, just like I did for the words Fresh Flower. And I did cover up the words Fresh Flower above so that I didn't accidentally get paint on that as well, just like the other one. I don't want to have to do unnecessary painting. And then for the color, I used that Java colored chalk paint once again, and then once that was all dry, I just peeled off all of the painter's tape and removed my stencil. Then for the third piece on my sign, I'm taking the bottom words on this stencil, Seeds, Stems, and Blooms. I'm centering it on my piece, taping it just like I did the other 2 words, and then I used that same Java colored chalk paint. Once it was all dry, I then removed all the painter's tape and the stencil once again. Next, I'm taking this windmill that I got from Dollar Tree and I'm removing the words welcome. It was a little bit tricky to get this metal word off, but I found that if I just moved it back and forth, it finally, after a while, just popped right off. Then I'm placing all of my pieces onto my wood stake exactly how I want them before I start gluing them down. And to attach them, I'm using hot glue on the back side of each piece and then just pressing that down onto the stake. Now, I don't have a problem using hot glue for outside, even in the heat. I've never really had a problem, but if you guys wanted to, you could definitely use like a stronger glue like E6000. And here is my decorative garden stake all finished. I ended up putting mine in a planter that I already have, and I think it looks super cute. And for this one, you can use it for any season. And sorry that everything's all wet outside. It was raining all day, and this was the last day I had to film before our big move. But I really hope that you guys like this one. Now moving into DIY number 3, I'm making a garden flag. For this one, I used a placemat from Hobby Lobby. I also used the stencil from Joann Fabrics, Folk Art chalk paint in rich black, paintbrushes, a garden flag holder from Dollar Tree, and my hot glue gun. I started by ironing out all of the wrinkles on my placemat. I've had this for a while sitting in my craft stash and it was super wrinkly, so I wanted to make sure that all of the wrinkles were out and everything was nice and smooth. And I had originally tried to do a pillow out of this and I took the seam out of half of one side, so here I'm just gluing that back together. But obviously if you guys just get a placemat, you would completely skip this step, so I'm just doing this because I had already cut a hole in mine. I then folded over the top piece of my placemat about 2 inches onto the back side, and to attach this piece to the back side, I'm using hot glue, but I'm only putting the hot glue right on the edge of the placemat so that I still have an opening to put my flagpole holder through my placemat. Next, I'm setting this Welcome to Our Home stencil from Joann Fabrics right in the center of my placemat, and then I'm using some painter's tape on all 4 sides of the stencil to hold it into place so that it doesn't move around while I'm painting. And for the paint color, I'm using the Folk Art chalk paint in the color Rich Black, and I'm using my Dollar Tree stencil brush to apply the paint. And I did get paint all over my fingers and my hands. I wanted to make sure that I was holding the stencil down wherever I was painting so that I didn't have any bleed through on my fabric. Since this is fabric, I was extra careful because I couldn't redo it, like repaint it and then redo the stencil. This is a one time and you're done kind of thing. Once that was all dry, I then peeled off all 4 pieces of the painter's tape and removed the stencil, and then I just placed this right onto my flagpole. Here is my garden flag all finished. This could not have been an easier project. If you wanted to, you could always spray a waterproof adhesive on here so that the water just repels a little bit better. I hope that you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and share it. If you're not subscribed, I hope that you will consider subscribing. Be sure to hit that notification bell so that you don't miss out on any of my future videos. Thank you so much for watching.